Alright, what's up guys? Welcome back to another Beach Boys album ranking video. So, up to number 27. The last video I covered my 28th favorite Beach Boys album, so my third least favorite, which is Keeping the Summer Alive from 1980. Today, for my 27th favorite, we're jumping forward 2 years from the release of that album. So you can see it from the title, you can hear it in the background. 1978's M.I.U. album. This one was released on September 25th, 1978. And this one is a mess. I have a lot of things to say about this one. So, to start, we'll go back to 1976. So, the Beach Boys released 15 big ones with Brian back in the band. Brian, he was writing the songs, he produced it. You know, they did a tour, the Brian's Back campaign, where they were like, Brian Wilson's back, he's the leader, let's go. You know, the record label was like, alright, write these albums, write these songs. Come on, Brian, let's see what you can do again. And in 1977, Brian wrote entirely by himself, basically a solo album released as The Beach Boys Love You. And that was one of the band's best albums, completely a unique, singular Brian Wilson experience. And that one I'll get to in a while because that is one of my favorite Beach Boys albums. But after that, you know, while it was finished, while Brian wrote it, and, you know, he felt like he did a good job on it with the rest of the band, it didn't chart well. It only went to like 53, I think, maybe a little lower, and the record label was disappointed by that. So they were kind of watching the band, seeing what they were going to do next, and the sessions for the next album, which was, at the time, it was titled Adult Child. It was going to plan to be the next Beach Boys album after The Beach Boys Love You. Another Brian Wilson solo project, wrote almost everything. He put some covers, there's some leftovers from like the Sunflower Surf's Up sessions on it. And they finished it, you know. Personally, another one of the Beach Boys albums that I really, really love. It never came out officially, but you know, fans still have the tracks from bootlegs and stuff over the years, and they officially released some of them. Anyway, the band finished the album, they showed it to the record label. The record label heard one song and was like, nope, you're going too far, Brian. This is not what we're doing. So the album was it not even shelved. It was just rejected. They're like, no, we're not releasing this. So, you know, Brian was already very messed up at that point. You know, he was not fit to be the band's leader again. You know, Landy, right about that time was when he started seeing Landy for the first time, because he was just not in a good spot. He just continued to get worse after that. And basically, with Adult Child no longer in the works, the band started working on their next album. And this one is a collection of interesting things that really makes this a bizarre release in their discography. So, some of the songs on here are, one of the songs on here is a leftover from Adult Child. One is from a planned Christmas album that never came out or was never finished or, you know, finalized in any way. It was a different version of a song from that Christmas album. And then they have just Beach Boys songs written by the various members. So, this is the album cover. In my opinion, the band's worst album cover. It looks like absolute ass. The color sucks. The logo you can't even read. Like, you barely see that. If there's a wave, I don't know. My copy's pretty dirty too, so it looks like there's like shit stains on it. And then the back is, I think this is the same picture that was used on the Beach Boys Love You back cover, which is really weird. And, you know, the track listing, this is an OG 78 pressing, and I'll just get right into it. So, starts off with a phenomenal fucking song. Brian Wilson, Mike Love song. She's Got Rhythm. Brian's doing falsetto in 1978. When was the last time he did that? And it sounds great. You know, it just goes right in. The snare drum, and then he just goes into the falsetto. And then Brian's the lead, Mike comes in for certain parts, and it's absolutely great, energetic, amazing opener. You know, if you just heard that song, and then you just turned off the rest of the album, you just think the album, oh yeah, it's gonna be great. And, you know, for the most part, it's not, but there's some great stuff on it. So, She's Got Rhythm, a really, really great song, again, written by Brian and Mike, and, you know, I really wish the whole album had a similar vibe to it. It kind of does, but some songs are interesting. So that's track 1, great opener. Track 2, Come Go With Me, a cover of some bands. I'm not actually sure who did the original, but Al sings this one, and it's amazing. It's fucking amazing. Honestly, maybe the best song on this album. Yes, they didn't write it, but they always put out great covers, and this one is one of their best in my opinion. It was a single for them in '81, and actually charted like insanely well. I think it went to like 14, which, I mean, it's not like top 10, but you know, for the Beach Boys in 1981, that was a great showing. And it's just energetic. The production is great. You know, some people say it was very, you know, generic and overused late 70s production, but you know, besides that, it just sounds good. Like, the fidelity is great, and Al's vocal is great. I think Mike sings on it too. I can't exactly remember. When I do these reviews, you know, I'm trying to like think into the songs, and I can't remember every part, but you know, what I can say is that Al's vocals great. The harmonies are great. The drums, man, it's a great song. So the first two are just awesome. You know, if you didn't listen to the rest, you just think, wow, this is a fucking classic already. So it's just two amazing songs. And then track 3, we get a song from Adult Child. That was planned to be an Adult Child. Hey Little Tomboy. And you could hear it in the background. What a fucking anomaly. So, there's a 1976 interview with Brian, and basically the interviewer is asking him questions about any new material the band is working on, and he's talking about this song called Hey Little Tomboy. And, you know, he wrote it, he wrote the lyrics, he wrote everything, and he seems super enthusiastic talking about it, being like, yeah, it's a, you know, it's creepy saying that, it sounds really creepy saying this, but, you know, he was fucked up at the time, and he was saying, you know, it's about, you know, like a like teenage girl who's going from being like a girly girl to a tomboy, and he was 35, no, not 30, yeah, about 35, writing this song, and it's really fucking creepy. It is. I'm not gonna write that off, because these were some 30-year-old dudes. Well, Brian, 35-year-old dude, writing a song about teen girls. And the song itself, melodically, I think it's solid. I think it is a catchy song. It has a very, very memorable rhythm. The ending part where they're like, hey little tomboy, creepy, very, very creepy. I'm not gonna understate that at all. It is a fucking creepy ass song, but it's catchy. Now to the lyrics. Completely messed up, and I'm not gonna try to throw off the blame of Brian, because, you know, he's human just like the rest of us, so he has his faults. But he was messed up out of his mind on cocaine, mental illness, just, he was fucked up. And I don't think he had the intention of writing that song to be creepy. I think he just genuinely thought it was a fun, you know, just idea, he just thought it was exciting or something, which is messed up, and he probably looks back on that now and be like, what the fuck was I thinking? And I agree too. It's a head scratcher. Melodically, great song. But just lyrically, it just rubs me the wrong way, and pretty much every Beach Boys fan. This is probably one of the not worst Beach Boys songs, but Beach Boys songs that just, that didn't need to happen. And, you know, it keeps the same rhythm. It's just weird. It's just really weird, and they're actually like into the vocals. You know, they do a great job, and just, if they just sang about something different, even if they just sang about summer, just something like generic, it would have been 10 times better. I don't know why. It was a weird experiment from a messed up guy at a weird point in his life, and they just put it on this album because why not? Because the album they were supposed to make didn't come into fruition. So that's track 3. Very weird song. Let me know what you guys think about that one. Next, Kona Coast. Mike and Al wrote this one. It's a throwback, one of their first like real true throwback songs. Just talking about going to Hawaii, just having a good time. The ending and chorus parts are basically just they just reuse the hook from Hawaii from the Surfer Girl album from '63, and it's catchy, but it's really cheesy. The vocals are very just not inspired. This song feels really plastic. Like I said, the production is great. That song just kind of feels not genuine. And I think it's catchy, it's a good time, it's energetic, but it doesn't really do anything for me. Peggy Sue, you can hear it in the background. Another cover with Al on vocals, because Al always does the covers, and I love that. I love how Al is the cover man who does all the leads. Great rendition of the Buddy Holly classic. The original is a million times better, but you know, this one sounds good. Al does a good job. It's not too long. And I think, you know, it just keeps the energy up. I really like the energy on this album, and I think, while Adult Child, I wish it came out. I wish the record label was like, alright, and I wish it came out, but you know, it's a weird fucking album. It's weird. It's unlike anything you'll ever hear, and it's all over the place. This album feels a little more, not cohesive, but just more, normal, I should say. And it's just, again, with this oldies cover from the 50s, it's, again, a classic, just redone in the 70s, and I think it sounds good. Last song, side one, What Should Come Out Tonight. This was a Brian and Mike song? I'm pretty sure. Let me check the record real quick. Yeah, Brian, Mike. And this one, aside from the weird backing vocals, it's fun. I like Brian's lead. It's really sweet. It's very soft, which is from this time. If you've heard like Solar System from Love You, or Love Is a Woman, or I'm trying to think of another song from Adult Child, like what's it called? Deep Purple. That's another one from Adult Child. His vocals at this time, he was screwing up his voice from all the drugs and alcohol and shit and cigarettes, and for him to, you know, She's Got Rhythm as well, his falsetto, and Won't You Come Out Tonight. I really feel like this album was the last time where his vocals still had that young quality to them, and I think he sounds really great on this song. But if you can hear in the background, the backing vocals on this song, they're very, like, gruff. They don't sound smooth like the Beach Boys, because every other song on this album has great smooth backing vocals. This one kind of has, like, very harsh, almost kind of raspy backing vocals, and I think it's kind of cool. It's kind of unique. It's just kind of weird. It's like, interesting. So, side one's solid, and, you know, I said this in the last review of Keeping the Summer Alive, but nothing is essential, besides Come Go With Me and She's Got Rhythm, which I think are great songs. The rest of the songs on side one range from weird to just cheesy to a cover to just a song that's just came out on M.I.U. album. And nobody bought this, by the way. Only went to 151 on the charts, which is terrible. I think it was their lowest charting album to this point, and I think it actually charted better than Sunflower, which is really sad. But yeah, just not really essential top tier Beach Boys material. Side 2 opens up with a great song, the only song with a Carl lead on this album, which is really surprising because Carl was all over their songs. He had been all over their songs for like the past 6-7 albums. So to hear this album with only one Carl lead is kind of interesting. But anyway, Sweet Sunday Kind of Love. I'm trying to remember how it goes in my mind for a little bit, you know, but I like the rhythm. I like how it opens up. Carl's vocal is just great. It's sweet. It's tender. It's Carl's voice. Like he just has such a wonderful voice, and I think it's a really solid song. And it goes in to Bells of Paris, a Mike song that I'm pretty sure it was just Mike. It might have been Mike and Al because, okay, no, Mike, just Mike, and there was another guy named Ron. I don't know how to pronounce his last name, but he speaks French on this song, and with the next album that came out after this, LA Light album, there's a song on there called Sumahama where he speaks Japanese. So I think he had a fondness for like foreign languages at this point. I don't know, but it's a solid song. I like the backing vocals. It feels like very sort of ethereal. Just the beginning, not the whole song, but it feels good. And I think Mike's vocal is very, very solid. I like the bells in the back, you know, Bells of Paris. And when he's talking about getting like tea, like I don't know how to speak French, but when he's it's actually like convincing. You're like, wow, this guy someone knows how to speak French. So Mike, you did a pretty decent job. Not an amazing song, but it's decent. Pitter Patter, it's a song about rainy days, being out in the rain. I don't know. I think again I have to keep checking this one. Sorry about that. Mike and Al. Yeah, they were like a duo for like 78 to 80. They were like the dynamic duo writing songs. So Pitter Patter, it's a good rock song. It's energetic. don't really. This is a forgettable one, and a problem I have with this album, again, why it's so low, is it's just, they're good songs, but they don't. They're not really, the most memorable. I've listened to this album actually a lot, maybe like 10 times. So, and Beach Boys are my favorite band, so obviously I'm gonna know all of these because they're all I listen to. But just a casual person listening to this album once or twice is not gonna remember almost anything on here, and that's just the issue. It's just kind of a forgettable album with songs that are just not important to the Beach Boys. But that being said, they sound good, they're written well, the vocals are good, and there's a lot of Brian on this album. He was writing, Love You was his album, 15 Big Ones was his album, Adult Child was gonna be his album, basically the solo albums. This one, it's not a solo album, but he writes most of the songs on here, which is, I like to see, and he sings a lot of the songs on here. So, Pitter Patter, it's alright. It's not my favorite thing, it's solid, but it's just another song. The last three, though, I really, really enjoy. So, next is the only Dennis lead on this album, and this one's called My Diane. I think it was written by Brian, and amazing, a great song, a great ballad. I really like how Dennis sings it because he had the roughest vocals even more than Brian. His voice was even more fucked up, in terms of, how clean to just messed up the band members were at this time. It's probably Mike, Al, Carl, Brian, Dennis, just in terms of what they were doing with their lives, and Dennis was the most, so, doing all that cocaine and smoking messed up his voice the quickest. But I think it fits. I think these slower ballads with his really rough, deep voice, well, it's not that deep, but, it's scratchy, and I think it fits. It's really pretty. I like the instrumental track on here, and it's not very long, but it serves the album well, and I think Brian did a good job writing it, and I think it flows well into the next track, one of their most underrated songs from this period, and maybe just maybe, my favorite song on this album, along with the first two tracks on here. The second to last track on here, Match Point of Our Love, written by Brian. He sings the lead, and I think Al comes on at some point where he's prominent in the backing vocals. But this one is so cool. I don't even know I don't even know what genre it would be considered, but just, it's been a long, long while. Like, just like, that was not really how it sounds, kind of. But I just like the rhythm. I think Brian's vocals just really smooth, which is cool. I like, she's got rhythm. Hey Little Tomboy is a weird fucking song, but I like when Brian's on the vocals on that one. Won't You Come Out Tonight, and then Match Point of Our Love. And I think it's got a really cool rhythm and atmosphere to it, and I recommend that song because I think it's just, it's just a really good song from an era with forgettable albums, and a lot of the songs on these albums from this era are really great, but they're just put on albums that nobody remembers, and that's one of those songs that I think is great. So, My Diane, Match Point of Our Love, amazing. Last song, Winds of Change. This is not written by any of the members of the Beach Boys. It is, let me check one last time. This one was Ron Altbach, so that's his last name, and then Ed Tuhela, I don't know how to pronounce it. Correct me. I just butchered his name. Anyway, Winds of Change. Al sings this one. He sings a lot of songs in this album, I just realized. But really pretty, really good piano. I really like the vibe, and I think having a really calm song to close out the album, like, the last three songs in this album are pretty chill, and having this song close it out, I think, is a good ending. And overall, I think M.I.U. is a severely underrated album. My biggest problem with it is it's a mostly forgettable upon first listen, and it was never meant to be. This is kind of like the Smiley Smile of the 70s in a way, because, they were working on Smile in 66, 67. They never finished it. It was shelved, and then they just started rushing, put out Smiley Smile. And Smiley Smile is a fucking masterpiece. That was just its own thing on its own. We'll get to that in a while. But, Adult Child, it was finished, but it was rejected. So they put this thing together, and while it's mostly a very scattered, confused album, I think most of the stuff on here ranges from, decent to great. And I like the production. I really I said this about Keeping the Summer Alive too, but these, this album, LA, and Keeping the Summer Alive, they're back to back, you know, 78, 79, 80. They're mostly forgotten by mostly everybody, if I'm gonna be honest, but they sound really good. Like, they're like, there was effort put into the sound and, you know, just overall quality of these albums, and especially this one. This was the first of, you know, their yacht rock trilogy, and, you know, I don't know anything about yacht rock, as I said in the last video, but I'm pretty sure they pioneered it with starting with this album. And, you know, my highlights on here, the first two tracks, She's Got Rhythm, Come Go With Me, are fucking phenomenal. I think those are just amazing songs. Hey Little Tomboy's an oddity with creepy ass lyrics that shouldn't exist, and it's a very cursed song. It's the weirdest Beach Boys song. It'll creep you the fuck out. You're like, holy shit, how did they write this? But it's an interesting look into the mind of a tortured genius, I should say. There's you know, Peggy Sue, Kona Coast, you know, Pitter Patter, Bells of Paris. Those are kind of like the cheesier songs that are kind of fun. They're entertaining. They're not deep or anything. And then, you know, you got like Sweet Sunday Kind of Love with Carl, My Diane with Dennis, Match Point of Our Love with Brian, and or what was it, Al? It might be, I think it's Brian. But yeah, so overall, I think this is the first Beach Boys album that I don't have any big complaints with, or there's not any songs on here that I dislike. I like every song on here. I can get enjoyment out of all of them. Overall, I'd probably give it a 7 out of 10, placing it in C tier. And I think, you know, while it's one of the worst albums they did, just because it's very low, it's my fourth least favorite. Yeah, my fourth least favorite. I think they just, here's side view, I don't know what I'm doing. I think it's important, and it marks a change in their discography, because this is actually the last album they put this is the last album they put out on Warner Brothers Records, because in '69 when they released the album 2020, that was their last album on Capitol, and with Sunflower they moved to Warner Brothers, and they made 6 albums on Warner Brothers. This was the last one. And basically, my TLDR to recap: Adult Child should have been made. It should have came out. You guys, if you guys look it up on Google and find like an album file download, you can download all the songs, because some of them aren't on YouTube and it's not on streaming. But go listen to Adult Child, because that is just an oddity that's fucking amazing and unique. Same with Beach Boys Love You, which actually came out. So go listen to that one as well. Go listen to both those albums. Those Brian-led, just crazy cool albums. And yeah, after those two, they just cobbled together an album. It feels like a mess, it feels confused, and that is a huge flaw. Some of the songs on here are forgettable. But overall, it's got a nice vibe, it's catchy. You know, besides Hey Little Tomboy, nothing on here is like weird or just off. It's just kind of just, you know, the Beach Boys putting together an album of songs at the time. And its sound overall, the reason I have this higher than Keeping the Summer Alive is because that one, they kind of, I felt like they were kind of going for us, trying to relive their classic era on that album. They're not trying to bring back that old vibe, and that just instantly makes it a little more dated. This one, it was the sound of the Beach Boys in 1978. They're doing new things, and while it wasn't the most creative or inspired, it was a different new sound, and they didn't really ever touch it again. LA's similar, but that album took it a little further. So, M.I.U. album, 1978, released September 25th, I think I said. Let me know what you guys think about this in the comments. Again, here's the guys at the time. Brian over here, Mike, Al, Carl, Dennis. Look pretty cool on the back. Again, the shitty album cover. So yeah, I think an album that is completely forgotten. People write it off as a shitty piece of work, but I don't think it is at all. I think it's pretty underrated. There's some great songs on here. I started saying them earlier, but anyway, the highlights: She's Got Rhythm, Come Go With Me, Sweet Sunday Kind of Love, My Diane, and then the last two songs, Match Point for Love, Winds of Change. All great. Not classics, but they're great, and they sound really great, and the rest of them are fun. You know, somewhat cheesy, but still, they're fun. So, again, 7 out of 10. And, you know, I will get to you guys in the next video. It'll be an album that came out not too long after this one. You'll see that. I don't want to spoil it yet. But anyway, Let me know what you guys think about M.I.U. album, and I will see you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching. Peace out.